Out with the popsicle. That's not where you stop, sir. So yeah, my dad's got a 1992 or 1993 Suzuki 1100 GSX-G. It's a shaft-driven 1100. That bike is the first bike I ever rode, which is an overstatement because I rode it around the block a couple times before I went and took my motorcycle safety class. And then actually, like 2 days after I bought this bike, and I fell in love the minute I'd started it. It's got a bit of a hesitation when you're rolling on the throttle, and that was the first time I rode it. It wasn't terrible, but today, like, we were sitting in the driveway letting it warm up. It wouldn't stay idling for some reason. The bike runs okay. I think once you get it going, it seems to be fine, but no, I'd never really gone faster than 30 miles an hour on the thing anyways, so. But yeah, I finally got my dad out. It was nice. He needs to get out. See, this is less for me and more for him. He just needs more time outside doing stuff that isn't work. This bike hesitates worse than me at a bar. Actually, it hesitates worse than me in general. I have a bad hesitation. Not because I'm dumb or anything, it's just, it's hard to talk, I guess. It's hard to explain. I want to make sure that the story gets out and you're not too concentrated on my... I don't want to call it a peach impediment. Bolshenka. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, by the way, I missed the flood run today. Spoiler for the next week's footage, anyways, or whenever I decide to put it up, will be of me riding to Winona Monday, which is in 2 days. But I'm not going to be able to edit it and get it up that quick unless I finished it. I'm talking to the camera.
Telling the camera how stupid my old man rides?
Yeah, it's easier when you can't hear.
I'm not really accustomed to the helmet.
I know. No! I killed it.
What?
What? Grom! Oh, Frontier's out fixing shit again. What's new? So, a little bit about my dad. My dad works way too hard to support our family. He's doing me so many big favors and just being cool with supporting everything I want to do. He's always supported me. See, his blinker is still on because he never uses it in his truck or on the bike anyways, so I couldn't be happier to have a dad like him. His work ethic is just, like, I will work real hard, but I will never work as hard as him, ever, because I physically couldn't do it. So yeah, my dad is my hero, and a lot of people will say that, and everybody's got their reasons. I'm not dissing that by any means, and in fact, it's the complete opposite. Here, I'm agreeing with other people. I totally understand why other people would have their fathers as their, you know, their hero. But my dad will work harder than anybody I ever know. My dad gets up at 5 in the morning, every morning, to go to his laborious job. Works his fingers to the bone. He'll come back at about 6 p.m. Some days, he'll go back to work, doing a different job on the side, and he won't be back till 10, 11 at night. He'll do that every day until the job is done. And so you have a guy who works 20 of the 24 hours. He only gets a few hours of sleep, and he'll get up and do it again every day. He hasn't been late for work a single day of his life, and I know because I get up that morning too, and I hear him leave every day. It's incredible that he keeps fucking moving. But on the flip side, he hasn't gone out and done anything for himself either, so this is perfect. It just was in the form of me suggesting that we go ride, because I've been bugging him before. I mean, he's got a really cool muscle car. He's got a couple muscle cars that are just in shambles. And he keeps talking about wanting to get these things together, but never having the time to do it. And with the support of the family, it's a money thing too. It's like, you know, he could go off and do his own thing and spend all this money on the cars, but the house wouldn't get paid for, or the heat would turn off in one day. You know, he is the reason I have the work ethic I do. So my dad, when I was about 4 or 5, put me on a kitty cat, Arctic Cat kitty cat. I got to race around pretty much up until I was 12. And I would do a thing called ice oval. So that's where they go plow a circle in the, well, it was an oval, like a racetrack out on frozen lakes. And I would ride my snowmobile on the frozen lake. And in order to do that, you had to have studs and carbides, which are basically, studs are just like sharp nails that are in the track, in the, you know what a track is. I'm not explaining it. Fuck you guys. Carbide, basically they're just a long strip of metal, kind of like an ice skate on the skis themselves, because the skis aren't sharp unless you put a sharp metal piece. Oh my god. I want to go under that. I want to go under that right now. I bet I could fit too. That would have been cool. Or I could have taken my head off. No big deal. So when I was age 5 to 12, I think is the big time period, I did ice oval racing, and it was cool. It was okay. I mean, I wasn't the best. There were times that I was the best. I took home a championship once. So it wasn't just limited to kitty cats either. It wasn't just the smallest version of a snowmobile. There was the kitty cats, and then there were the 120s, which were 120cc small versions of the big snowmobiles. They looked a lot more like it, had like a full suspension set up like it, whatever. So there's a kitty cat, there's a 120, and then they would modify them, adults making stupid fast snowmobiles for kids that are 8 to 12, and then told them, all right, good luck. And that's what my dad did to me. He bought a 120, we modified it. They called them champs. So they bored and stroked the 120 out, and it made some decent power. But the big thing is the 120s and the kitty cats originally came with chain drive, and they'd have a slipping clutch on the drive or the engine's crankshaft. But we would put in belt-driven clutches, kind of like a real old snowmobile has, and that would give us a 2-stage, one for acceleration and one for top speed. So these little snowmobiles that were meant for kids were going up to 50 miles an hour, 45 miles an hour on the ice. And I took home a championship on vintage, and I almost won the championship on F1. Now F1 is I'll show a picture here. I was like one race away from being championship holder for that year, when it really got big. And at 12 I had to make a decision, or what was it, 12 or 14, I had to make a decision in if I was going to do 1 or 440s, which are, you know, a full-size snowmobile, or if I was going to step down and stop doing it. And I saw how much it cost my dad to do all this work, so I came to my senses. All the things that we would have had at that point we would have had to start over, you know, and it was one of those things. It was like, you know, we got tired of it. It was expensive, and quite frankly, I wasn't good for the cost that it took. So besides snowmobiles and ice oval, I would do dirt biking. So that was my childhood. My dad kind of brought me up in the motorcycle scene, and I tried pretty much every sport, but I was never really good at those either. It just seems like I've done everything, but I've never been good at anything. The one thing that kind of just fell into my lap was doing computer work and IT, and I was really interested in just gaming and playing around, fucking off. Like, I was never really, it was never a thing of, I could learn this and be really good at it. And I wish I would have been a little bit more serious with it. But at the same time, I'm not upset with where I'm at now. It would be nice to be farther ahead, but everybody wants that. Everybody wants to know everything too. So my dad taught me not just to ask questions, but to figure out how things work, not how they work and how to fix them. So yeah, that's pretty much my childhood. It's wrapped up, it's very summarized, but essentially I did a lot of racing, and that did some weird stuff with my social life. Not a lot of people were into that, the people I, like hanging out with. So I never really learned how to be like other people. I never really learned how to be quote-unquote normal. But yeah, my dad's been there forever. He's the reason I am the person I am today. It was kind of on his shoulders to not fuck up, so bravo. I feel like I'm a pretty well-balanced person. That's good. Yeah, when I first bought the bike, I handed the keys over to my dad. I was like, here, go take a ride. He comes back, he goes, I'm gonna get in trouble with this thing. Which is true. It's pretty easy to get yourself in a sticky situation. So yeah, I have a trip planned for tomorrow to go see a good friend of mine, Travis. He was in my video 13. If you haven't seen episode 13, go watch it.
We're the worst neighbors in the world. We'll piss you off night and day. We drink and